Good Wednesday morning, East Tennessee. My name is David Aldrich, Chief Meteorologist of Captain Accurate Weather, coming to you by way of the Captain Accurate Weather Command Center. On behalf of Madlock Tire Service and Auto Repair, East Tennessee's #1 tire service and auto repair since 1953, we're here to proudly announce that they have 5 convenient locations. Maybe you've discovered them, maybe you've never even heard of them, but I hope that you will discover them because they're fantastic for tires. And also, when you have winter concerns, you want to have good traction. By the way, Madlock Tire also does oil changes. So I know every truck, every SUV, every car needs an oil change in a periodic period of time. So we want to check out their locations in Knoxville, Maryville, Lenoir City, Athens, and Hardin Valley. The phone numbers are on the screen. They also have a great website, which we'll look at here a little bit later, madlocktireservice.com. We got some temperatures to talk about. Oh, yes, we got some temperatures to talk about. I have to say that when you wake up this morning, it may not be terribly windy, but it doesn't take much wind. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take much wind when you talk about the temperatures because it's down to about 6 in Maryville, about 7 Morristown, 7 Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, and 11 at the airport, I guess. All right, so that may be the outlier, but it certainly is cold in Jamestown. They're -1. That's the actual temperature. So I'm kind of curious to know, how cold are you? With very little wind, 11 degrees might feel a tad colder, but how much colder do you need to be to think layers? I would hope that you have to wear layers on a day like today because it's cold. Got a note from Steve Stone. He's on here with his smiley face and happy sunshine. Oh, yes, we're going to get some of that. He's on YouTube. Brian is here as well. Good morning. It's messy storm here in Myrtle Beach. How much snow did you get, Brian? Because that's all that you were sold, a bill of goods. I said if you're near the beach and on the sand, the chances are at Myrtle Beach you would have some marine influence. And that marine influence could have given you some of a mix. Love to know what you had. Was it a one precipitation type or multiple? Let us know. We'd love to know as he is watching the storm from Myrtle Beach. Fred says, good morning. He's got a 10. Is that all? 10 degrees in Maryville. That's pretty cool. I believe we were 10 officially. McGee Tyson at 5 a.m. We've come up a degree. That's progress. Steven Snyder says, good morning. He says, please. Well, he doesn't say please, but I'll infer that. He just says stay warm. I think it's a good recommendation to stay warm. When it's this cold, 11 degrees, let's take a look at the winds. Can we change the map? I think we can. The wind chill, which is also the feels like, makes it feel like it's 0. Oh, come on. You mean 11 actually feels like 0? Yes. Oh, if you have to pump gas today, that's tough. But I would encourage you to maybe get an oil change. Check out Madlock because they're waiting to hear from you. And there's an easy way to book an appointment with them. I'll show you that coming up in a moment. But I got to show you this. We go back to the maps. 3 is what it feels like in Newport. Feels like -4 in Crossville. That's brutal. I did some checking. Last year, I did some checking because you know I'm a note taker. Last year, if you were curious, we fell to 0 on the 17th of January, 2024. We fell to 5. January 18th, 2024. This was after the big snows of Martin Luther King Day weekend in 2024. So we've hit 0, we hit 5 last year. We hit 6 on the 21st of January. We hit 8 on the 16th of January, and we hit 10 January 20th. So you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mornings were brutal last year. We've had only a couple of mornings at 13 or 12. And so far, I believe we've dropped to 10. They might revise it because it could still drop between now and about 8:30 or so this morning. 22 was the high yesterday. We started off at 13. So it's cold. There's no getting around it. That has been the big story. I don't think anybody would think that we had much of a snow event. I suspect if some of you didn't drip the faucets, and if you have frozen pipes, you'll spend more on frozen pipes than you would have spent on snow removal over the last 7 days. Snow removal, we only had a trace at the airport. Exactly. You didn't spend any money on snow removal, chances are. And if you did, it might have been for your HOA. Maybe it was for your neighborhood. But still, all that being said, wind speeds are moving at 7 miles an hour, makes it feel like it's 0. 11 feels like 0 given the wind chill. And oh yes, the wind chill advisory, which was revised by the Weather Service, they had this in effect till 10 a.m. this morning. This is now called a cold weather advisory. It's the same advisory, but they just repackaged it with a new name. So bye-bye wind chill advisory, hello cold weather advisory. It's the same thing. And they were expecting wind chills to be between 0 and -10. Future wind chill, look how quickly things improve. With full sunshine, or mostly sunny today, by lunchtime, we should be in the mid-20s for chills. We're talking wind chill here. Wind chill should be in the mid-20s in Knoxville. So it won't take but a couple more hours before you see some relief. And that relief, I might add, will push it to the mid to upper 20s. I expect the high to be 32, by the way. 32 will feel like it's probably in the mid to upper 20s briefly. Might feel like 30 at 4 o'clock this afternoon in Morristown. May very well still feel like 20 in Crossville. So 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, it won't get much warmer than this. But these are what I expect in terms of actual temperatures. The warmest spot may be Monroe County. I got Monroe County, Tellico Plains, Madisonville 37. 30 in Crossville, Lake Tansy, Fairfield Glade, and 31 in Oak Ridge, Clinton, as well as Norris. If you've got a comment, you've got something you want to share, let me know. Ooh, I got a note here. She's got 4 degrees, Judy Kerr does. That is a degree, I imagine, in Rutledge. Thank you so much. That's not 4 inches of snow, y'all. That's 4 degrees, was what she's indicating. Oh, and Brian has a note. He says 5 to 6 inches around here with some sleet and then snow. Most areas got 4 to 6. There you have it. I had a report of 5 inches in Baton Rouge. So some big, heavy snows. It's interesting because the modeling just doesn't handle southern sliders and the beaches all that well. But I'm very glad that you're safe, Brian. Glad to know you are watching that closely. And Maryland says a balmy 9 degrees. Here in White Pine, dripping that faucet for sure. Lana Johnson is also on here saying, good morning, everyone. Stay warm. Enjoy your coffee. And she says, be blessed. She's got the lots of sunshine there. Thank you so much, Lana, for watching us live here on a Wednesday. Hey, by the way, it's the 22nd of January. Where did the time go? We will have a recovery. I would describe today as a frigid start. Mostly sunny the entire day, and yes, it'll finish cold. I mean, if you only finish at 32, keep in mind the normal high is 48. 48's the normal high. We'll be struggling to hit 32 this afternoon. And the snow that we've been hearing from Brian around Myrtle Beach, mixing with some sleet, is trying to pull away at this hour. It seems like it's on its last leg. A couple more hours and all that will be a long, distant memory, except the cleanup. Right? I mentioned Baton Rouge last night, 5 inches of snow for them. They don't have snow plows. They don't have snow equipment. Who is equipped in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for snow plows? When I lived in Rochester, New York, it seemed, my impression, every pickup truck in Rochester, New York had a plow attached to the front. It was like, it was standard operating equipment. Just you had to get grandma off the hill any time of the year because it started snowing in September, didn't stop till Mother's Day. That's not an exaggeration. It could start snowing around September in Rochester, New York, and wouldn't stop until Mother's Day. How many moms do you think love it? Well, that's why they take winter vacations, because they can't stand the snow lasting that long in upstate New York. But now a little bit of upstate New York has moved down toward Myrtle Beach and down toward Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I digress. It is 6:47, a lot of ground to cover. Let's talk about the radar locally. There's obviously not much to see here. Even over the last 8 hours, even the snow had a hard time getting past Asheville, the Biltmore, and maybe even Bryson City. The sunrise, sunset time is on your screen right now. The sun is up at 7:42 this morning. It is going down now at 5:53. Can you imagine? I mean, psychologically, what's going to happen when the sun goes down after 6? Oh, after 6 would be great. Then my mood would be lifted, some of you might say. Oh, my seasonal mood disorder would go bye-bye. If it just got after 6, it'll get later once we get in the spring. Then it'll be like 7, and then 8. And of course, if Congress and the new administration changes the daylight saving time, we might not be changing these clocks at all. Who knows? But I can tell you this, the sun does go up at 7:42 this morning, down at 5:53. Bus stop forecast, I have to indicate, will be cold. I think kids, if they're going to be braving the elements, they got to stay warm somehow. We're in single digits in many locations, but should be around 15 by 10. Some might be on a 2-hour delay. I don't know. I am not that decision maker. I'm just the messenger. 29 for a pickup temperature later this afternoon. By the way, East Tennessee's #1 tire service and auto repair since 1953. There's the website. I talked about it. MadlockTireService.com. Great place to go if you need an oil change. Perhaps you need some way just a new set of tires. They're located in Knoxville, Farragut, Kingston Pike. They've got a location in Maryville. They've got a location in Lenoir City. And they also have a location in Athens and Hardin Valley. So check them out. The addresses are on your screen. The phone numbers are very, very helpful. But the website is super cool. You say, what's so special about the website, Aldrich? Easy peasy is why it's so special. Madlock Tire Service, you see up here, this is their website. You see your local choice for new tires and auto repairs. Just go to the right, schedule your auto service, and all of a sudden, it's going to pop up a calendar, and you can request your service time. Now, that's pretty cool. That's what I say convenient, and that's why I love Matlock. They've been doing this for since 1953. They've been doing this a very long time, and if you've been doing something since 1953 for the entire family, and it's been multi-generational, they are doing something right. Check out MatlockTireService.com. Everybody within the sound of my voice who has a vehicle or access to a vehicle needs an oil change. And when you go, tell them that Captain Accurate sent you. Because I know, requesting your service time, you just put in your zip code. They'll tell you which is the closest location. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. So check out Matlock Tire Service and Auto Repair. As far as what we're talking about headlines-wise, we could take a look at the coldest mornings. We've already highlighted those of last January. Compared to this year, it was colder in January 2024, but this is certainly the coldest in 12 months. Mostly sunny today. I think that's a key. A bit milder tomorrow. Some of us will eke out low 40s tomorrow. But there's a better bet that everybody within the sound of my voice in East Tennessee will reach the 40s this weekend, because I got Saturday at 45 and Sunday 43. Most of us will reach the 40s at some point between now and the upcoming weekend. And here's a look at the January high temperatures over the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks in fact. Yesterday's high, a measly 22, when the normal high is 48. And then, of course, Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, as well as Inauguration Day, was 23. We've had some very cold mornings, but we are going to pull out of it slowly today and eventually into the upcoming weekend. Here's the radar. Why is everybody colored in this strange teal-looking color? That's the wind chill advisory, which is now called the cold weather advisory. Covers the entire Volunteer state. And then, looking at Charleston, looking at Myrtle Beach, looking at Wrightsville Beach. They're still dealing with some snow. Some amazing pictures, not something you typically expect, but a southern slider, if it goes far enough south, that's what you get. You get a southern slider. You get all of that snow along the beaches. Now, they still have some snow across the Great Lakes. It looks like it's snowing now in parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota. Iowa is certainly getting more snow, but a lot going on certainly in that picture as well. So they're more accustomed to it, let's say, but I don't think the folks from Baton Rouge into Florida and into South Georgia were expecting this, and if they were, they probably got more than they bargained for. They got a lot of snow, no doubt for sure. By the way, if you are checking out my friends at Matlock, I hope you'll do so, because again, they are a great sponsor for Captain Accurate Weather. Tell them Captain Accurate Weather sent me. That'll put a smile on their face. It doesn't matter whether you're in Athens, Hardin Valley, or Knoxville. Any of the 5 convenient locations, check them out. By the way, the bigger picture, when we look at the amount of rain and melted snow so far this month, we've had 2.09. 4.76 is normal. The updated amount, because they did update this about a week after the event, from 5.1 down to 4.9. And I only say this because it sounds like, based on Brian's observation, and certainly by Baton Rouge, they had more snow in Louisiana than we've had so far from last Friday's, the 10th of January. So we've had 5.6, I believe, the official seasonal total, if you factor in December 11th. December 11th, we received 0.7 inches of snow. So it's interesting, some locations south of us have had more snow than we have. That, my friend, is quite amazing. By the way, some other comments. Diane Ladyhawk is here. She says, I love this, I shall love being in the 40s. It sounds balmy, no doubt about that. Brian is on here. Good morning, David. How are you this morning? On watching you on YouTube this morning. Great. I'm doing well. I'm glad that you're here. Brian is noting he's got 3 measly degrees. Can I say measly? It's 3 lonely degrees. I guess 3's not lonely. If you got a group of 3 going to the movies, that's fun, or to the restaurant. But 3 degrees seems pretty low, given the fact the normal low is 30. So what, you're 27 degrees below normal this morning, Brian? It seems like that's where you are. And he says it's 3 degrees here in Lake Tansy. So very happy to have Brian here. Pete is also here. He's on Facebook. I can see that from the logo on the right. He says, I wonder if it's just changing the daylight savings time to standard time a half hour would be consideration. That was my idea. Split the difference, one of my ideas. I don't know if they'll listen to that. I think from record standpoint, I do know the Weather Service, even when they go to daylight saving time, they still keep their 24-hour maximum. During daylight time is 1 a.m. to 1 a.m. But they've always kept it on standard time. Like standard time was the standard, and anything that they did prior or during the summer months, they just adjusted. So when they take a high in the middle of June, what they're looking at is 1 a.m. to 1 a.m. It's kind of weird, but that's kind of one of the things. If they kept records, they wanted to be consistent since Standard Time had been with us longer. It's just one of the things. Anyway, looking at the rainfall, we are still in a drought. I know it's hard to believe, but yes, that's one of the stories that kind of get buried. And we'll get a new drought monitor out later tomorrow morning. That's Thursday morning, the 23rd. For the drought monitor, today is the 22nd. Now, as far as temperatures, it actually is -1. Fayette County, Kentucky. Ouch. And it's 1 degree in Jackson. And it's actually 0 in Charleston, West Virginia. So if you want cold air, you don't have to step outside of Maryville, Knoxville too far to get into the single digits. It's 6 in Johnson City right now. Feels like it's -13 in Lexington. That's pretty brutal. 0 is the wind chill I mentioned in Knoxville, given the fact that we have a light wind. Wind speeds are part of the story, but look at the temperatures. That purple ooze has come down, but the good news is it's going to retreat, right? How about the temperatures in places like Destin? Destin is 17, but that's where I like to go in the summertime. Yeah, I'm sure it's not going to be 17 when you go there this summer, but if you have family in Florida, and I mean North Florida, the Panhandle, it's brutal this morning. I don't know how they're coping, but they're going to have to, right? It's what, 41 in Orlando? Disney World is 41, but 17 in Destin. That seems like a big temperature gradient. That's a huge temperature difference across much of the country, no doubt. I think everybody's talking about the cold. They're talking about the snow in some cases further south, and that's just the way it goes. It feels like -19 right now in Detroit and -21 in Caribou. Now, this Arctic blast I mentioned would be the big story this week. I did mention later in the week it would improve, and you can see that. You can see the purple color beginning to retreat this afternoon here locally. Once we move into tonight, it starts to move out of parts of New England, up from upstate New York, but another wave of it begins to develop in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I do think we're kind of cold again on Friday. That's what, 2:30, there's about 12 noon or so. So there'll be another sweep of cold air. We'll be lucky to get out of the upper 30s on Friday, but then we're back into the 40s come Saturday afternoon. You can see the colors. These represent 5,000-foot temperatures, but it's a good sense of where we're going to be headed. We'll be gradually warmer, in quotation marks, heading into the weekend. It's not perfect, but it will be improving. By the way, my bar chart here on the Valley Planner, I don't even have a bar. It's like not until 8 o'clock does it reach about 12 or so. It's tough. I mean, depending on where you are now, you're not going to move much between now 7 and 8 o'clock. But certainly, by noontime, you may see a recovery of 22. That was the high yesterday. So that means by lunchtime today, many of you will be higher than you were yesterday for a high. And then we'll jump another 10 degrees, I think, from 12 noon to 4 o'clock, up to 32 degrees. It's a frigid start, but we finish mostly sunny and cold. Cold finish relative to the season. And yes, the chance of precipitation looks pretty meager. There are some indications that we could get some flurries on Friday. I wouldn't expect much. And that might be confined to the Smokies. But we could get some flurries on Friday. And then by Monday, it's iffy. Right now, I've got 40% chance there is not, I repeat, not a lot of agreement in terms of rainfall on Monday. So we might be looking at least a week before you get some significant rain back in these parts of the country, into East Tennessee. By the way, the severe risk today is absent. There's nothing to talk about. We already looked at the national scene. It's so cold. We don't have any thunderstorms. We don't have any severe weather today. The Storm Prediction Center has a proverbial day off, although they are 24/7. They never take a day off, but there's certainly nothing to see or track because things look quiet, not only today, Thursday, but they look also colorless on Friday, which means there are no expectations for severe weather or storms on Friday. So we've got some quiet weather relative to severity, but it is going to be continuing to be snowy around Riceville Beach, Myrtle Beach, perhaps for another hour or two before it starts to retreat. That's 8 o'clock. 8 in the morning, it looks like it's trying to get out of Charleston, if not sooner. And then by midday today, obviously here it's all sun-filled, and we finish the day about 32 degrees. Front comes through. That might spawn a few flakes on Friday. You could see some up in West Virginia, maybe near Pike County, Kentucky, and maybe in the Smokies. But outside of that, a stray flurry is not going to steal the headlines. It's just going to be the fact that it's going to gradually get colder. I would say warmer by the weekend in the 40s. We do have a cold day, I think, on Friday. Saturday should be 45. And Sunday should reach about 43 degrees. So that's the expectation. It is now 6:59, going to finish on time, 32 degrees, high temperature day, frigid start. And it's very important that you wear lots of layers. Hopefully, you don't have any issues with your pipes. If you've been dripping the faucets, at the very least, you can open up the cabinets underneath the kitchen sink, let some of the air, warmer air, circulate in there. Mostly sunny and cold, but the winds will pick up this afternoon out of the southwest 5 to 10. Maybe variable now, but 5 to 10 is what I expect for a wind speed here on Wednesday. 31 for Morristown, Talbot, White Pine. 30 for a high in La Follette, Jacksboro, Caravel, and about 30 degrees in Jellicoe. 30 for Crossville, my expectation. But if you're in the Southern Valley, should make it in the mid to upper 30s. 34 for Athens, 37 for Tellico Plains. And if you're traveling today, fear not, Lexington, you'll get warmer. They'll get up to about 23. That's their high point today. And it's 0 in Charleston, West Virginia. They should hit 23 this afternoon. But if you're headed to Atlanta, 35. There's going to be some snow cover. Surprisingly, it's snow cover for some of the areas around the beaches. So 18 tonight, mostly clear, very cold. Again, normal low is 30. I mean, how else can you describe 18? 18 might be a big improvement over what we are now, but 18 is 18. It's still 12 degrees. 12 degrees below average. Average, again, is 30. As we take a look at those lows tonight, 14 for low in Morristown, 15 for Athens, 15 for Crossville. Look for a low of 17 in La Follette for a low temperature tonight. Meanwhile, as we take a look at the 7-day forecast from Captain Accurate, Weather Authority forecast 41 on Thursday. That's a bright spot, but then it pulls back a little bit Thursday into Friday. Friday's high 38, and then we kind of settle into the 40s. Down the road, it looks like we're in at least the upper 40s on Tuesday. There were some indications we could be flirting with 50 or 50 plus. So that seems balmy. Even 45 Saturday seems like a balmy situation. Maybe a stray flake or stray drop on Sunday. Like I said, we're in a dry pattern right now, one that we know all too well from the past fall, because that's what got us into the drought situation. But we could use some precipitation. Some would prefer snow because it's exciting. But all the snow on this go-around seemed to pass us by because it moved all the way down into parts of the beaches and along the coastline. By the way, Madlock Tire Service and Auto Repair, East Tennessee's #1 tire service and auto repair since 1953. You know, and I know, that my car and my vehicles in the family probably are going to need an oil change. Maybe you need it now. Check them out, Madlock Tire Service and Auto Repair. They're in Knoxville, Maryville, Lenore City, Athens, and Hardin Valley. Well, my name is David Aldridge. Some people call me Captain Accurate. It's not easy being accurate, so weather doesn't surprise you. We'll see you here next time. Take care.